All right.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Duke, and I'm a transplant surgeon nurse practitioner at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. And today I'm going to be talking to you about finding time and energy for fitness and exercise with chronic disease. So I first want to talk a little bit about what do we mean by fitness, really, right? People hear about fitness, and of course, you immediately probably think about those people who run the Boston Marathon or people who, climb crazy mountains and all sorts of stuff like that. Well, fitness really is just a state of general mental and physical being. And this really overall, we look at physical fitness primarily, but mental fitness is also a big component as well. And so there's obviously a lot of interpretation of this. So let's talk a little bit more about fitness, and then I'll get into more specifics about what you guys are probably hoping to view or get information from this webinar. So when we look at measurements of fitness, right, people talk about being in shape and things like that. Well, we actually have a body mass index, which is a number that we get when you look at height and weight, and it talks about standardized norms. This is what we use in healthcare a lot for just is somebody overall at their ideal weight, their body weight compared to height. So that's one thing that we can use to measure fitness. But really what more people, when they say the term fitness, they'll probably think about endurance or what we call cardiovascular fitness. That is, I can get out and I can run 5 miles, or I can go up 2 flights of stairs without having to stop. And when we look at the benefits of fitness and regular exercise, and hopefully none of this is really new news to you, but some of the details may be something new. We look at, from liver specifically, there's data that shows you actually probably have a reduction in the risk of scarring. So scarring in the liver is what we're trying to avoid when patients have liver disease. And scarring happens over time from inflammation and liver disease, and it can lead to cirrhosis in the liver. One of the things specifically with exercise, fitness, etc., and the liver is that it reduces fatty liver disease related to obesity. So the benefits of fitness for this is definitely well known. Another thing that some of the research has shown is that your depressive symptoms, which many people with chronic disease may actually have, these can be alleviated or helped a little bit by the stimulation of neurotransmitters during exercise. Think about it. People who have this kind of fight or flight, endorphins are released, and this gives kind of a natural high. And so depressive symptoms can be improved. Cardiovascular benefits can be related to the improved oxygenation. So the more blood flowing around, the more efficient your heart is able to pump. You can actually improve the level of oxygen in your blood. And we can actually reduce atrophy. Atrophy is really kind of the shrinking of things. Your muscles can shrink, lots of things can shrink. And so reduction of this atrophy can also have lifelong effects, and this can be from fitness. And generally, you have more energy level, the more quote unquote in shape or fit you are. So chronic liver disease specifically, there's data that shows that chronic liver disease can lead to sarcopenia. Now, sarcopenia is just a fancy term for kind of a loss of muscle mass. And sarcopenia is specifically, we're not talking about somebody who, oh, I haven't worked out in a few months, I'm not as ripped or as cut as my muscles. Sarcopenia really is the degenerative loss of skeletal muscle quality and strength. And this is a natural process that occurs with aging. But when people have chronic liver disease, this can occur unnaturally related to the liver disease. And the picture at the bottom is just kind of a simple graphic showing this, that the kind of the dark burgundy color is really your muscle. And this is an average healthy adult. If you look at the bone in the middle, and then kind of the fatty tissue in it, and then the skin around the outside. So after sarcopenia, you can see that this muscle is significantly shrunk compared to a average healthy person. So we normally expect a loss of about 0.5 to 1% per year after the age of 50. And you actually see that sarcopenia can be associated with mortality in cirrhotic patients. We've seen that in my center very commonly, that patients, when they have what we call frailty, and sarcopenia is associated with that, that they have a poor outcome post-transplant, and even with chronic liver disease. So this can also impair their quality of life as well. In cirrhosis, one of the things, we can't really remove the toxins as efficiently, and our muscles can actually help with this. And so this can also be challenging when you have less muscle mass as well. The other thing that's working against is somebody with cirrhosis, so with the more end stage or latter part of scarring, is you aren't able to build protein and make protein as efficiently as you were when your liver was not sick or having any liver disease. And so this obviously makes it challenging as well. So first, there's a little bit of information I gave you, but now the biggest thing is people like, I don't know, I don't have the time. What do I do? Well, obviously there is no magic pill, no cure. No matter what I say, it really is up to you to figure these things out. And so just some tips for you. Number one, get motivated. So easy things to do is to sign up for a simple walk. American Liver Foundation has several walks throughout the year, and this is a simple way to get involved. Put it on your social media, let people know about it because it makes you a little more accountable. So signing up for a walk or a race, let's say you decide I've been walking and now I want to do a simple race, a 5K race. So signing up for that accountability, you would be surprised at how much that can motivate you. Schedule the exercise, put it on your calendar. If you are somebody who plans things out, sit down on Sunday and put in the days that you are going to work out. And this workout may be something as simple as walking for 15 minutes, or it might be going for an hour run, depending on your level of fitness. Set an alarm earlier so that you're reminded, wait, I need to be at that gym class at 6 o'clock. You can also do something during lunch break. Classes can be offered at there's gyms everywhere across the city and state. And so you can find a place, if you've got the time, you can break away for 30, 45 minutes. And it is great if you can find the time to do this. Really set a goal for 4 to 5 days per week. Another tip is keeping your clothes and your gear nearby and in kind of a ready position. So if you are somebody who's sleeping into the last minute, getting up and running out the door, if your gym bag or your bag to go walk later is not packed, you are not going to do it, right? You come home, you sit on that sofa, you get comfortable and warm and cozy, and even I are less likely to get off that sofa to go work out. So pack your bag the night before. Be part of a community. Find a walking club, a training partner, anything that you can do, because the more likely, or the more of that community feeling, the more likely you are to actually do those activities. Again, it's accountability. And then one of the things they talk about out in literature is time vampires, right? Avoid time vampires. You could sit at home and all of a sudden you're on social media for an hour, and you could have actually gone for a half an hour walk, showered, come back, and then been on social media for maybe 10 minutes in that entire time. So it's good to post after your workout. So maybe post about, oh, went for a half an hour walk tonight, or, did 30 minutes on the elliptical. So really avoiding those time vampires. So we look at the complications specifically related to liver disease, really 4 of the big ones that can actually impact significantly in your ability to do exercise and activity. Fatigue is one of them. Obviously, this is something that we deal with. Hepatic encephalopathy can alter your mentation and make it challenging or difficult for you to do some of those activities. Ascites can make it physically, and edema physically, difficult for you to even get up, to move around, and to walk around. And so these things can be very challenging. It can really impede your ability to do anything, even if you are motivated. Modern media also makes it a challenge for us, right? We're surrounded by all these ideals and perfections. You're constantly looking at social media about everyone's perfect life, right? At least that's the impression they're hoping to do or hoping to give. And so really that can be a challenge. And so if you find that that's impeding you, try and back away from that. Social media and modern media and the world really tells us how we should look, right? You have to keep up with everyone. So instead of letting media kind of dissuade you or hurt you, make it motivate you. Join online walking groups. Join, there's bloggers out there that you can follow. There are chat groups. There is exercise and fitness motivators, anything you can imagine online. So use that to your advantage. Download apps that can help you and motivate you, and they have challenges and badges and rewards that you actually can accomplish. Use that to motivate you to get out to do something. A few little tips is make your goals attainable. So first, accountability is huge, but don't get overwhelmed. Let's say you have a goal of a certain amount of weight you want to lose, or a race you want to do. Maybe you need to set 5 smaller goals to get to that steps on the way to that larger goal. So don't focus maybe a week from now. Maybe you want to start with, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. So whatever it is, you want to start with baby steps and start with those small attainable goals versus getting overwhelmed with a larger goal and feeling that you're never going to get it and giving up sooner. Don't be afraid to ask for help. No matter how concerned you are about being a burden or, having to overwhelm someone with your issues or concerns, don't be afraid to ask for help. Also, online tools, these are great for it. You can submit questions or tell people, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. I feel that you will get plenty of advice, not always good, but generally some of it can be helpful if you're in the right platform that can actually give you advice and recommendations, which you may not think about. Food tricks that I have. So, right, talked about exercise, some tips for that. Again, you have to figure out what works for well, but food really is one of the biggest struggles. So I always talk to patients and say, first, you need to know what type of eater you are, right? Are you somebody that overeats, or do you snack all day long? Generally, we tend to fall into one or the other. Now, many times we overlap and do both, but most of the time you tend to either eat too much at every single meal, or you tend to just snack and graze all day long. If you are somebody who is an overeater at meals, the easy thing to do is what I like to refer to as the hand trick for portions. So if you take out your hand and lift it with the palm side up, the palm of your hand is a standard portion. This is generally speaking, a standard portion for meat and starch. So like rice and potatoes, chips, etc. The whole hand, including the fingers, is a standard portion for a vegetable. Now, assuming that vegetable is not covered in cheese or covered in butter, but a salad, green beans. Remember, corn is starchy. Corn is going to be the palm of your hand, but normal green vegetables, green leafy vegetables, etc., are going to be the larger hand. Fruit can be in between, depending. If it is a fruit that has a lot of sugar in it, it's probably going to be the palm. I would say caution is using the palm for most of the fruit that you're going to eat. So if you find that you're eating 2 and 3 times a portion at every single meal, that's an easy fix, right? Rein in on your portion size. If you go out to eat at a restaurant, I guarantee you're eating 2 to 3 times the portion of what you should. So that's an easy way to fix. Food logs and food accountability. You heard me talk about accountability with exercise. Well, food accountability is also huge. These are 2 apps that are very well known, MyFitnessPal and Lose It. They are both free. And if you have a smartphone or a computer, because they're on, you don't have to have a smartphone to use them, you can actually log your food every single day. And they have an extensive database, even fast food restaurants. You went to McDonald's with that cheeseburger, put it in, it tells you how many calories, fat, all of that information. You can actually, when you set up these resources, you put in a weight and maybe a goal weight, and it will tell you how many calories you should be eating a day. Now, remember, anytime you're following any diet, any sort of dietary instructions, or looking to start a diet, you always want to make sure you talk with your healthcare team. Well, I'm giving you this talk about related to liver disease. You need to find out specifically from your healthcare team what you should and should not do. So use that modern technology to your advantage. Water also is your friend. Not only do you need to keep well hydrated, especially if you're starting an exercise program, water can actually help to fill you. One of the tricks that many diets will tell you to do is start by drinking a half a glass or a full glass of water. That will fill your stomach so you are less likely to overeat at the time of your meal. And I always preach that you should always eat your calories versus drinking them. What I mean by you could drink apple juice, orange juice, cranberry juice, all these delicious juices, and you could have close to 1,000 calories or more in that alone. People are like, oh, I had a smoothie. Oh, I had a, one of these green drink juices. Look at the calories. You'll be surprised. And most people think, well, that was liquid. I still get to eat, but they are so many calories and there's lots of sugar in them. And so that's a sneaky way that people can really struggle with either gaining weight or not being able to lose weight because they're drinking their calories versus just eating them. Exercise. So I mentioned before concepts of fitness and kind of some tips. Again, clear any exercise regimen with your medical team. So one of the biggest things patients talk about is I'm exhausted. How do I exercise? Well, you need to start slow. I mentioned earlier, setting small goals. You need to exercise on a level that will demand exertion, but not overtax the system. And so I usually explain to patients, and we'll even demonstrate that you should be able to exercise at a pace. So let's say you're going for a walk, that you can still carry on a conversation, but it's not as easy and seamless as the one I'm having with you guys right now. You should still have to pause periodically every few seconds to kind of take an extra breath. A brief walk, 5 to 10 minutes, wall push-ups, lifting your legs while you're seated, curling up soup cans. Any of these things can be exercised in the right context. Getting help is also something that's going to. If you're feeling overwhelmed, I've never exercised, I don't know what to do to exercise, start with getting help. Many fitness facilities give you a free consultation. You can have a fitness professional, whether it's a trainer, exercise physiologist, etc. Somebody who's aware of your condition also is beneficial. So your medical center may, or your healthcare team may also be able to create some special program for you. If they can't, a fitness facility, you can talk with them. And really for you, depending on where you're at, it might be restoring strength and fitness. Maybe you haven't really lost any strength, so it's just at maintaining or increasing your fitness. Sticking with it. So progress may be slow and painful, as you know, in the beginning. You may have that muscle soreness and it may be challenging, but your metabolism is also challenged by chronic disease, and it's going to be slow to respond, but it will grow with consistent effort. So again, start one day, 1 week, 1 month at a time. Know that the benefits of exercise will last for hours after you finish. So that last drop of sweat comes off your forehead, you go about the rest of your day, your metabolism is still reaping the benefits of that. There's no simple answer, but you do have to try and push through the fatigue sometimes and try something. So we have 2 forms of really kind of exercise: aerobic, which is what we call cardiovascular, or like that's usually what people think about as doing cardio machines, running, walking, elliptical, biking, etc. And anaerobic, which is strength. Then we also have flexibility. It's good to work all of those forms of exercise. So something for your cardiovascular health, something to increase your strength, and also your flexibility. But think about simple things around the house. One of the things I'll talk with patients about is just doing stuff in a chair, in a seated position. Sleep hygiene is also very important. If you are fatigued all day long and you are not sleeping well, you're not going to make any progress likely without improving your sleep first. So sleep hygiene is really a concept that there's a variety of different practices and habits. Basically, it's really about good habits for getting the best sleep possible for you. And so limiting your daytime naps to 30 minutes. Again, this is, there's going to be some exceptions to this, but limiting daytime naps to 30 minutes, avoiding stimulants such as caffeine or nicotine close to bedtime. And I usually talk about 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. Avoiding really strenuous workouts close to bedtime. So I know I just said, hey, let's get out and let's exercise. But really, if you're having a really strenuous workout, try and avoid doing it 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. Avoiding heavy, rich, fatty, fried, spicy foods close to bedtime. As delicious as they are, it can trigger indigestion and also make it more difficult and challenging for you to sleep. And you need to ensure adequate exposure to natural light. So your sleep and wake cycle depends on this. Now, in Chicago in the winter, that's challenging. So, but generally, those who work night shifts really have challenges with this, and vice versa. Establishing a regular, relaxing bedtime routine. So avoiding TV in the bedroom, making sure you go to sleep at the same time every night. If you like to listen to music beforehand, but really trying to keep a consistent bedtime routine is absolutely key. So I mentioned before some of those simple chair exercises, and on the right is a YouTube video. You can't access it here, but you can Google and look for him. It's a simple 10-minute workout routine. This guy, Paul Eugene, there's many out there. So sitting in a chair and doing exercise can help to increase your fitness and burn calories. If you're somebody who really hasn't worked out much, this is a great way to start. Don't get overwhelmed with having to go outside and do things. Start in your house. Chair stretches are great for improving flexibility, maintaining flexibility as well. Now on this screen here, these are some different chair exercises that are actually being demonstrated. So the first one on the top left is a chair dip, and this really works on the upper arm, specifically the back of the arm, the triceps. Chair circles is the next one, and this will actually work the shoulders, the arms a little bit as well. And you can see from the rest of these that your legs, your hips, your arms, in a chair, you can do a full body workout. Now, the key also to exercise is more repetition. So if you're using small weights, use lower weights and more repetitions, which means instead of doing 5, you're going to count to 10. You're going to do 10 of those chair circles, and then maybe do 10 chair circles 3 times, and do that once a day or twice a day. The last slide here, again, just a few things about reminding you that food is your friend. Don't think of it as the enemy. I am a big believer in everything in moderation. I eat chocolate every single day. I love chocolate. I'm never giving it up. I'm also never going to give up carbs. So you have to figure out and stick to a diet and really make it a lifestyle. Don't think of it as a diet. Think of it as a lifestyle, and make food your friend. Don't starve yourself from things because you are less likely to stick to it. So you do need to follow any dietary guidelines set forth by your medical team. So if you're diabetic, if you have heart disease, fresh whole foods cooked at home are going to be best. Avoiding alcohol. With liver disease, you probably already do that, but try and avoid excessive sugar and then any medications not prescribed by your team. Keeping well hydrated. Now, some patients with more advanced liver disease have to be careful about overdoing the fluid. And then again, eating your calories and not drinking them. So that is the end of this webinar, and hopefully you've learned some interesting, some new information. All